Welcome to the Garden of Edun. Dami be asking the questions for the answers that you want to hear. All you gotta do is sit back, grab a chair, or listen up while you clean and cook. Take a leaf from the creative's book. These gems open your mind and your heart. Okay, the show's gonna start. Cheese! Welcome back to the Garden of Edun podcast, everyone. I'm your host, Dami, and this is where ideas grow. Today, we're with and I know I always say it in my intros, I've just realized. I always say special guest. So this time I'm going to change it. I'm going to say exciting guest. We have a very exciting guest, actually, in Katerina Robinson, who is an actress and comedian and recently starring in a successful show, the Whoring Twenties. Katerina, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm good. What an introduction. I loved that.
You got to inject energy into these, like that's what I try to do anyway.
I'm feeling very special. Thank you for that.
I'm glad. I wouldn't want anything else for my guests. Anything else.
Oh, well, you've made me feel very welcome already. We've only just started, so getting off to a fine start.
And one of the things that I found interesting about you, Katerina, before doing this podcast is I saw that according to the Even Standard, you're London's answer to Samantha Jones. Now, I actually didn't know who the fuck she was. So I was like, wow, Samantha Jones, who's that? So I Googled it and I found out it was like a character from Sex and the City. Yes, would you say that's a pretty accurate description of yourself as someone who doesn't know?
I feel like it's fairly accurate. But then, I mean, I don't know if you've actually watched Sex and the City or got into it, but there's a few other characters. I feel like I'm a mix between Carrie and Samantha Jones. So Samantha's like the sex crazy one who's like, really sex positive, very confident. And then Carrie is more like the hopeless romantic, the sort of like, wants to find love. I'm like in the middle.
So you're the hybrid.
Yeah, I think I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm not like crazy sex mad, but then I'm also like, wanting to find love and a bit of a daydreamer. So I'm in that middle vibe, I would say.
So, i.e. confused, just like all of us are.
Yeah, well, it's different days, isn't it? Like some days you're going to be like really out there and horny, and then some days you don't feel like that at all. You just want to be on your own. I mean, I personally like to just sit in bed with a green tea, watch Married at First Sight. That's my idea of fun. So
oh god, Married at First Sight, what a show. Like when I've been going to my girlfriend's house, like it's always on and everyone's like proper excited about it. To be fair, I think it's an interesting experiment that they got going on there. There's some characters as well, like the UK one I think I've been watching, where there's some people that I'm looking at like, wow, this is you in real life. Yeah,
it's really kicked off the UK version, and like the episodes are so long, so I think that's why people get so invested in it. So it's like, I don't know, it's like an hour each episode. So it's like, very invested in it. But it's good. I'm enjoying watching it. I mean, it's finished now, but I mean, there's always the Australian one coming up. So I've got stuff to look at.
No, that's great. Actually, just a quick little story about how I actually discovered you. So I watched, I think it was on the Discovery page, and I saw like a random reels of you and Cheyenne from the Grilling Show. Shout out to her as well, because she's sick on that show. She plays her role really well. I think it was like a Rate My Date clip, and I just watched it and I was just, I don't know, it just tickled me and I was just laughing bears. I thought, you'd be a fun person to have on the pod. So
I'm so glad. But you know what? Whenever you do, I always feel like whenever I do reels and stuff, I never really know if it's like getting out there or not. I'm kind of just doing it, and I'm like, no one's going to watch this, but I might as well just do it. And then people actually do look, so that's great. That's good to know. I'm glad.
Yeah, the power.
Right.
Definitely. I mean, the power of the internet is
It's
is
crazy,
here, it's
crazy. Yeah,
working.
I feel like actually though, like through lockdown and you know, like the last year, like 2020, like everyone I've connected with has been through, yeah, through the internet, through like Instagram, social media. So it's definitely helped. It's got me to connect with a lot of different people, which is good.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, I have to agree with that because a lot of the podcasts I've done, I've been through some people that I've known already, but a lot of people that I've just come across through social, whether it's like YouTube or Instagram, and it's just it's amazing. Like I've done podcasts with people in the States or like other places in Europe, and it's just like, wow, a few years ago this is impossible to do. And to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
honest, even the pandemic has like, while it's not been the easiest time, it's also been sick because you can network with people that maybe you wouldn't have otherwise
Like
previous. So
access to, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
so
Definitely.
I think it's been pretty it's been, yeah, silver linings and all
Yeah,
that.
definitely, definitely.
um Hey there, Garden of Edun podcast listeners. Sorry to interrupt this episode. I just wanted to say thank you for watching and listening. If you get value from this podcast, from the guests sharing their perspectives on their journeys, I would appreciate if you could share this with maybe one or two people that you know will get something out of it. If you like the podcast, please subscribe or follow it on whichever audio platform you're listening to it on. We've got more exciting content coming up with athletes, musicians, comedians, journalists, sharing their journeys towards mastery. And now back to the show. So I want to start off with taking it right back in the day. So
Okay.
just to give it context, this is around discovering like our passions and I guess the things that we love doing while being alive. And one of the things that I discovered recently when I was cleaning up my old bedroom at my mom's place, you know, there was so much shit in there, and it was my day to really make a dent in the room. And as I was cleaning up, I found all these um, like books that were filled of pages of just me writing, like handwriting stories, like loads and loads of different stories. And it was something that I'd just forgotten about. Obviously, during, you know, adulthood, you go on to different things and you know, you forget what you loved as a child. And then when I discovered it, I was like, oh, I've forgotten that I liked writing. And it led me down a path of writing again. And I'm actually now in the process of writing, almost finishing a superhero novel at the moment.
Oh,
It's in its
wow.
third draft stage. Thank you. It's in
Oh,
its third.
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Like I'm hoping to get it finished soon. It's been a long process, so about 3.5 years. But
Yeah.
from that moment of discovering like my old stuff, I realized that it was a big passion of mine. So when you look back at your childhood, what were some of the indicators that made you think that you were made to be an actor or performer, and that was a lane for you? I'm curious.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was quite a shy kid, to be honest. Like at school and stuff, I definitely wasn't like the loudest person in the room. Even like now to this day, like even when I'm doing comedy and acting, I feel like on stage I'm very much alive and present and confident. But out of that, I'm not like this. Look at me, like kind of thing, like out of my work. But when I was younger, I used to kind of put on like little plays and stuff for like my mum and dad's, like in my living room. So because I just wanted to like show them something that I can do. And then sometimes I'd get my dad to play like the other part for me. I used to like act out this film. It was this it wasn't it wasn't black and white. It was a colour film called Genevieve, about this woman. And I can't even remember much of the story, but it was very like an old school film. She was going on like she had tea with her and was wearing this like Victorian kind of like outfit. I have the video somewhere in my house, but I remember I asked my dad like to play this role of like the husband who was like shaving and getting ready, and I kept saying to my dad like, oh, you need to do it again, you haven't done it right, do it again.
So you were a director from a young age then, yeah?
So I was like directing a little bit as well, and then just kind of like putting on little plays for my family. I used to have like an old like tape recorder when I was younger, and I used to make little tapes of myself like being a radio presenter and like interviewing people around my house. So no, I think I loved performing anyway from a young age, and I think that's sort of like taken me forward, because then I did like drama club and things like that when I was at school, and then like through that, one of my teachers said to me, oh, you should audition for National Youth Theatre, which I'd never like heard of before. And then I auditioned, I got in, which I was really happy about, and then it kind of just was like, oh, this could be like a career path for me. So I just sort of kept going from that, really.
Wow. That's sick that you had that, I guess, creative element from you from inside the home before you went out into the world. Was there any friction between, like, because you said you were classic, like when you were younger you were generally a shy kid, did you feel any friction then when you publicly started performing and publicly started putting yourself out there, like, hey guys, I actually this is what I'm about?
I think I was nervous because I mean, like at school I didn't really have that many friends and things like that, and then just kind of suddenly deciding to perform, I think people were just quite shocked, like, oh, but she hardly even speaks. Like, oh, she actually has a voice, and oh, she's actually quite funny. So I think I was nervous, but then I don't know, I'm one of these people that when it comes to actually performing, I don't get that nervous. I get like, you know, good nerves, like butterflies, like, oh, I'm excited to do this. I get more nervous about like day-to-day things, like, I don't know, having to go to a job or like missing a train or something. And that gives me anxiety and stress. But going to do a gig, I'm fine. I'm nervous, but I can do it. I'm not going to have a panic attack, basically.
That's mad. That's mad, because
It's weird, yeah.
That is really weird. I feel like most people do feel the nerves. Like maybe it's like a choice point as well. I remember when I was in primary school, and I think I was performing in a nativity play. I think it was so long ago, I can't remember. But what I do remember is the first showing that we had, we were on stage. I was probably like 5 years old, and I remember standing there, and it was my turn to speak, and everyone in the crowd was looking at me, everybody's looking at me. And I remember in the moment I was like, so I get to choose how I feel about this. And in those, like, I had like 2 seconds maybe of conscious space where I was like, oh right, everyone's looking, I better do something. And I just decided to run off stage. And I think I bawled my eyes out. I don't know why exactly I did it, but it just happened. And I think it's just set the tone for me now in life to be nervous. So I guess maybe you just chose the other lane, like, okay, this is fine then.
Yeah. Well, it's weird. I mean, I get more nervous about just general day-to-day life things rather than performing. Like performing, I get nervous, but I mean, it's manageable. It's like I'm still like excited to do it. So I don't know why I've gone that way, but I have.
No, it's sick. I mean, I'd rather be that way than the other way that I am.
Yeah. So, but also like when I was younger as well, like when I, you know, like doing like the nativity play and things like that, I never used to get like the main parts or anything. You know, I used to get like a shepherd or something, like really, really like something that I didn't even want anyway. But I kind of just made it my own role. Like every role I've done, I just tried to make it my own. And then, you know, I'd sometimes do the show and people are like, oh, I remember you. You were that shepherd. So I'd kind of like make it my own role. Because you always find that though, don't you? Like the girl who played Mary in the Nativity, she was never like, she was never great, was she? Like it's always the shepherds and the angels who were like the best people at the end of the day.
They innovate on their own, add a few little lines here and there, or like do something a little snazzy.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like they were the cooler people anyway.
It says a lot if you're remembered as the shepherd, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
On that, actually, because I guess that's similar to something else that I wanted to ask you, which was what elements do you like practice on, or like specific skills do you practice on to improve as an actor? Because I'm really interested in learning how people get better at specific things, like what they do to improve. So, for example, with podcasting, I like watching interviews. I like watching friends talk. I like watching other podcasts just to learn like the different elements of what's good conversation. How can you get as much value out of someone to relate to them, and also for people listening to get something from it. So for you, how, like, what things do you work on to improve as an actor? Maybe it is something like making a role your own and injecting your personality into it. So yeah, I'd be curious to know, and also if there's anything that would be a surprise to people that aren't in the acting world. So yeah, I hope that question was clear.
Yeah, I mean, I record myself a lot, so like for auditions and things, you have to do a lot of self tapes, particularly now with COVID and like with the pandemic. Like I haven't even gone in for a real life audition yet. All my auditions have pretty much been through self tapes. So I think that's, I still haven't even been like to an in-person one yet. So that's kind of what I try and practice anyway, like recording myself at home. And there's so many different techniques as well with self tapes, like getting the right like camera angle and like the right eyelet. Like, you know, you need to look like you're looking at someone else, even though you might not be. So yeah, I feel like that's one of the things that I practice a lot, is recording myself. But also, like, even when I'm making sketches, like a lot of my sketches are still a role, even though it's not, I haven't given them like a character or like a backstory or anything like that. But it's still, I'm still playing a part. I'm still, you know, using, you know, facial reactions and things like that. So I think recording yourself actually really helps. But also, I feel like I've got better as an actor just through having like life experiences as well. They always used to say this to me actually at drama school. They always used to say, oh, like, once you've had more life experience, you'll get this or you'll get that. And I used to be like, oh, what? Like, no, I get it. I understand. I'd be like, no, you don't. But they were very true. Like when I went to drama school, I was only 18. I'm now 28. And I feel like I have a much more understanding of, I guess, certain situations because they've now happened to me. So I can actually adapt, and I just know how you maybe feel in that certain moment. Like, you know, like I've had more relationships, I've had, you know, bereavements, people, you know, pass away. Like I know how to kind of, I guess perform in that sort of sense. So I think you get better as an actor when you have more life experiences, because then you can adapt to certain things, I think.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, because I guess when you've had those experiences, then you've in some way naturally had an emotional response to something, and you've lived it, so you can tap into it later because it's there somewhere in your psyche or in your heart or wherever it is.
Yeah, and I just think, like, as you get older, you start to know who you are a bit more, and I think that's what I struggled with anyway when I came out of drama school, because I went to drama school so young. You know, like through my teens and then up to about 21 was when I finished. I feel like then I was still just so young, and, you know, I didn't mature that quickly, and I just felt like now I really know myself. I really know who I am, what I want, what kind of work I want to create. I didn't really know that back then. I was still figuring it out. I was like, okay, do I want to do comedy? Do I want to do this? And I hadn't even done like stand up when I was 21. I you know, I hadn't even explored it. So I think, like now I know more what I want to do, and that's made me a better performer when you like know what direction you want to go in, I guess.
Yeah, when you when you unravel like the bits of yourself and you start to figure things out, I think things feel a bit more seamless, right? Like you just end up doing more of the things that cause less friction, because when you're in, because I get it, like at 18 my whole plan was to like stay at home for a year and like try and play football for a year and try and get a contract. But because of my parents, I went to uni and did engineering instead. So like those kind of influences, your parents, maybe even some of the teachers at drama school, other peers that you went to drama school with as well, like all those fucking voices, and like we're so used to taking it on board and like actually trying to go, okay, well this person's doing that, so I'm going to do that. Mom says I should do this. Yo, my drama school buddy said this is the route, so guess where I'm going. Those kind of things.
And also, like, I kind of felt like when I came out of drama school, there's not really any sort of kind of prep. Well, there is a bit of prep, but there's not really that much prep for it. You're sort of just kind of thrust into it. You're like, okay, right, I finished drama school. I have an agent now. Okay, I go on auditions. Like, you still don't really know who you are and what sort of roles you want to be doing. But at the same time, because you're so new to the industry, you just want to say yes to everything. But it might not necessarily be like the kind of role that, I don't know, the kind of work that you want to be creating. And I feel like since I've started making my own work, I actually feel, I don't know, just a lot happier, I guess. And I feel like I sort of know more like what I want to be doing and what kind of auditions I want to be getting as well.
Yeah, definitely. When you listen to yourself and really listen to yourself, it generally tends to work out better. On drama school, actually, because I've talked to a few different people in the acting world, and some of them have gone completely like would it be traditional or proper route to go to drama school? Maybe. I haven't figured that one out yet, but some of them have gone through like drama school and other institutes, and other people have taken just like the gig-based route where they've just taken on different work, started off as an extra, and then just kind of working their way up that way. As someone who's gone through the institutional route, and then, as you said, you came into the real world and it was like, whoa, what the fuck's going on? Would you say, like, looking back, that was the best route to take, or would you advise someone, let's say someone who's thinking about going into acting and could still have the opportunity to go to an institute, would you recommend them going that way, or maybe going their own way and working it out themselves?
I think definitely, like, if you want to be an actor, I think you should definitely do some sort of training, whether that be a 3-year degree or, I don't know, a weekend course, or, you know, some sort of thing, because you end up meeting like a lot of other actors and learning a lot from them. And, you know, training does help because you just learn so many like different skills and things like that. So I definitely would recommend it, but maybe because you can go to drama school at any age. I mean, you can go, I think, up to like 28, I think, unless you're doing like an MA course. I think you can go when you're older, but I would probably recommend maybe sort of taking that time and then going a bit later into your 20s. Like, I kind of wish I could go to drama school now. I mean, I could if I wanted to, but I mean, I don't know if I'd want to be honest. But I kind of feel like if I went now, I'd be so much more confident, and I would just know a lot more about things. And I feel like sometimes when you're younger, you don't, but I don't know, people mature differently, I guess. So I would recommend it. I would definitely recommend going.
I guess like coming back to what you were saying, you know, sometimes you at a young age, like you were saying, you can't appreciate certain things because you just haven't had that life experience to relate it to anything. You know, sometimes like when you watch something once and then a few years later you watch it again, because you have a new perspective, it's a completely different experience when you consume that media, whether it's a book or film or TV show or something. So I'm guessing that's what you're alluding to.
But also, like,
right?
when I went to drama school as well, like, everything was so traditional. Like, you know, Instagram really wasn't really around. Like, there wasn't so much emphasis on like creating your own work. It was, you go to drama school, you get an agent, and they will find you work, and that's what you do. Like, it wasn't like, oh, go out there and make your own things. Like, that wasn't so much of a thing. Whereas now it's so much more. I don't know, it's so much more of the thing for people to just go and be like, oh, well, if I'm not getting cast in something, I'm going to write my own pilot, I'm going to write my own program. Like, that's so much more a thing now, whereas back when I went, it really wasn't a thing. So yeah, I think it's good that we're kind of moving in that direction, because then it makes like performing and stuff more accessible to people, because you can literally go on TikTok and make something funny. You can, I don't know, make a self-tape and put it on Instagram, and I don't know, tag a few casting directors. Like, there's so much more accessibility, which I think is really good.
Yeah, it's actually something I wanted to come on to during the podcast, actually, because I'm a big fan of producing your own shit instead of only chasing work. Because obviously it's good to have gigs there if they're available and that kind of thing, but to only go down that route, I think with the tools that we have at our disposal now, internet, even equipment like that wouldn't have necessarily been available 10, 15 years ago, is now you can get it on Amazon for a reasonable price, most things that you would need. So yeah, like I'm guessing you had a lot more fun doing, like, making your own shows. Like I know you made that show Lads, right?
Yes,
that was written by you. And
Whoring Twenties, recently,
and have any opportunities come off the back of you producing your own work, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so when Lads and Whoring Twenties are actually with my comedy partner Kat. So we met on Facebook. Like, we didn't even meet in real life.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So she put a post up on some comedy like forum, just saying that she wanted to do like a comedy show with a few other female comedians and who was available. And I literally just left a comment and I said, oh, I'd be available. And then I think what made it funny is that her name's Kat Ronson and I'm Katerina Robinson. And we both looked quite similar at the time. I still do. I had long dark hair. She had long dark hair. This is weird. And we were both actresses, both comedians. So we kind of she basically slid into my DMs and messaged me.
Jeez, back when it was on Facebook, what would it be like, rolling into the messenger or something?
Rolling into the messenger. And and then she said, oh yeah, I'd love to work with you, should we meet up? And then we just started chatting, we just started making sketches together. And then Lads, we kind of started just making a few like 5-minute mini sketches just for like Instagram. And then when it came to like the lockdown, where we weren't like really doing anything, we just thought to ourselves, oh, should we like make this into a TV series, like a full length show? Like, why not? Let's do it. And we got a guy in, like a friend of ours, like a videographer, to film it all. We got an editor in. We were spending like hours doing like the color grading with someone and like literally putting it together into a full length season. We did 5 episodes. They were all about like 20 minutes long each episode. So it was a lot of content and a lot of work. And we then got in touch with a PR company and we said, like, we want you to help us promote it and get it out there as much as possible. And they did a lot for us. Like, I mean, it got into like British Comedy Guides and like Beyond the Joke and all these other like places. And then it got onto BBC Radio. So it really has extended, and now we're in talks with a production company to take it to an actual channel. So hopefully someone's gonna take it. Yeah, hopefully they're going to take it. But I mean, without making that decision, I mean, it all started just so small, and it's just so nice, like, that someone's actually speaking about it, like actual channels are speaking about it. And, you know, it's, even if it doesn't go anywhere, it's like, it's nice to be in that position and to feel like something so small that you just made between you and your mate is like gone like big, you know, getting big. And it's nice. It's a really nice feeling.
Yeah, that honestly, that is amazing. Like, I love hearing stories about people starting their own little thing and growing it from a seed to something like really substantial. There's a lot of lessons in there as well, like being open to network and actually make the effort to meet new people and work with them. And then also, instead of relying on, because you could have used all that time that you spent working on the show trying to get on a show that BBC made or ITV made or whoever else made. But the time you've invested into your own thing has now led you to a position where, you know, it could be really beneficial, and your own creation as well. So props to you.
Oh, thank you. It's just, it's a nice feeling. And I think we were both in a similar position. Like, we were both acting, doing things, but not quite where we want to be. And we just thought, you know what, let's just go for it. I mean, we literally filmed it in her flat. It was very like rogue how it was all done. Like, we basically play two boys. Like, that's what the program's about, us playing these two like East London boys. And we bought like the wigs off Amazon for like £3. Like, it was all quite budget and stuff, but I mean, it looks good. Like, we're really happy. Like, the episodes are still on, so you can buy them on Vimeo on demand to watch. And we're just happy with our little creation, and it's you know, getting there. It's getting big, so you never know. Hopefully someone's going to take it, but it's nice to be in that position anyway. So
definitely. And people, if you're listening, go check out Vimeo on demand, man. Go check it out.
You can buy the whole season. You can rent the whole season for £1. I mean, what a bargain.
Or even chips are more these days.
Exactly. You can buy it for £3. So pick the second option. But I mean, but you know, I wouldn't mind if you rented it for £1, then that's also very nice. So
you know where to go, people. You know where to go.
Exactly.
So coming, I guess, somewhat close to a question I asked you earlier. One of the things I found, like, doing this podcast is it's actually made me a lot better at my job, coincidentally. So, you know, I was talking to you before we started. I work in like sales and influencer marketing specifically. And my job's just become much easier because I can just chat, sometimes shit, but I can just chat a lot. So I've become a better conversationalist, but also developing points, like, so that a client can understand what I'm doing or what we're doing or what I'm talking about, and just also thinking quickly on my feet in like a high pressure situation. So for you, what areas of your life have your acting skills bled into that have really been of huge value to you in a way that maybe you didn't expect?
So like, out of acting and comedy, I do a lot of like events work. So hostessing, like football events and things like that, exhibitions, all of that kind of stuff. And a lot of that is like literally speaking to strangers, you know, public speaking, just being very confident and smiley. And I think like the acting and the comedy has helped so much. Like, I personally don't feel as afraid to literally go up to a stranger and make a conversation with them. That doesn't scare me as much anymore. And it just, I just feel like in general a lot more of a confident person. And I notice it a lot, like when I do hostessing work and I'm working with another girl who's like, oh, should we go over to them? I don't know. Should they look like they're deep in conversation? I'm like, no, let's just go straight in. And it's like, let's interrupt them. But it's nice. It's nice to have that I'm not as fearful of doing that anymore. And I think that's more because of stand-up, I think, more so than comedy, just because I don't know, when you're doing stand-up, you're in such weird weird situations a lot of the time, and I don't know, with crowds who sometimes don't even like you, and you're still there, but like trying to do your job. So yeah, definitely.
Actually, let's swing over to that, because I was going to come to it later, but since you touched on it, I really want to touch on it now. And also very interesting how your skills have helped you like speak to strangers. I think it's one of the big skills that you need in life, because everyone's a stranger until you say hello. So, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
But where was the point where you decided, okay, stand-up comedy is gonna be my thing? Because like, okay, coming back to the stereotype most people have around public speaking, most people get really nervous by public speaking, right? And that in and of itself is just you speaking about an idea or something to a crowd. But when you add this element of having to make people laugh, or trying to make people laugh, and you know, winning them over, especially when a lot of people will go thinking, all right then, make me laugh. How what drew you to that, and then how did you navigate that playing field, which I would say is different to any other kind of performing or public like public performance or public display? How did you
Well, I think between like the ages of, what was it, like 22 to 25, I just felt a bit like lost with what I was doing. Like, I was acting, but I wasn't really doing that much. I was working in Selfridges at the time, just retail every day, just very mind-numbingly boring. And I just kind of felt like I was losing the performing side of me. Like, I wasn't performing that much. And then it just got to a point like thinking, oh my God, like am I even an actor anymore? Like, what am I doing? And I just sort of thought to myself, well, what do I actually want out of acting? Like, what kind of role would I like to play? And I was like, oh, I'd love to be in like a comedy series, like a BBC, you know, sort of show like that, or like Channel 4 vibes. Like, that's the kind of thing I want to get into. So I thought, oh, well, maybe if I just try stand-up comedy, that's gonna take me that way. Maybe if I just try it, it's gonna lead me that way, or give me more of a niche. And at the time, there wasn't really, I mean, there are quite a lot of female comedians about, but when I started, it wasn't like that many, I would say, that I'd personally come across, apart from the really like well-known names. I hadn't come across like that many. And I thought, maybe this will give me more of a niche in what I do. So I did like a beginner's open mic. I thought, well, that's going to be a bit more. I did a lot of research into it. I thought, no, I'm not going to just book some random pub somewhere. I'm going to I'm going to do some research. So I did this like beginner's night where other people were trying comedy the first time. So I thought, okay, it's going to be a nice, supportive environment. You know, it'll just, I can just test out if I'm actually funny or not. And if it goes well, then I'll just keep going with it and see what happens. So that's what I did, really. I just kind of went along. I had a night, like a concept in my head of like what I wanted to speak about. So at the time, I'd been on a lot of like disaster dates and just bad Tinder experiences, and I thought, okay, this could be my thing. And then whenever I've like spoken to friends about, I don't know, all my bad dating experiences, they've always been like, oh my God, you should like write a book. You should like put this into something. And I was like, okay, well, not a book, but maybe like some sort of, written set. And then I was like, okay, it can be a stand-up thing. And and so that's kind of how I sort of got into it, really. And then I did my first gig. I got laughs. It went well. And I got a nice buzz out of it. I was like, oh, this feels good. Like, people, you know, laughing and enjoying what I'm talking about. So I just kind of kept going with it, really. And it's helped. It's helped a lot, like lead me into the direction that I want to be in anyway.
That's amazing. I mean, first off, like it was just funny when you said, "Oh, how can I differentiate myself?" Yeah, I'll just do stand-up comedy. Like that.
It's such a random choice to make. Yeah.
It also sounds like you're entering like a dragon's den. Like, yeah, I'll just go into the dragon's den and I'll
Yeah, why
differentiate.
not?
Yeah, I'll put myself at the risk of everyone going boo, get off the stage. Or not funny, like or hecklers and those kind of things.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
do you get many hecklers?
I do. I mean, much. I mean, not when I started out, not so much, but now I'm getting a lot more. And but it's quite. I mean, it's quite funny. I've had a few funny ones, like how much for a blowjob? That one.
Okay. Yeah.
Things like that. Show us your tits. Stupid things, but it's fine. I mean,
how do you generally tend to like manage the heckler situation yourself?
I mean, well, the how much for a blowjob one, I had a good comeback for that. I said, what did I say? I said, I charge by the inch. So for you, not very much. And I liked that. I thought that was a good comeback. And I handled that well. But yeah, I just try and play along with it, I guess. And that, but then it's never really got to a point where they've just kept going to the point where you can't actually get your words out. Usually they know when to shut up. And also I think I think a lot of hecklers actually aren't very confident people. I think because they think, oh, I'm in a comedy environment, I can just shout whatever I want. But when you call them up on it and actually like bring it up, they're like, oh my God, I need to be quiet. Like
For real.
They're not. I don't think they're actually very competent people in general. They just think because they're at a gig, they can do that and they can be a dick, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I personally don't understand it, because if you're heckling, you're opening yourself up to some different smoke.
Yeah.
If that comedian comes for you in front of everyone, it's game over.
Exactly. So it's just like that you're opening yourself. So it's like if you can't take it back, then why just don't say anything. Sit in silence.
Yeah, man. Just don't go into it. Don't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So one of the things I think is quite interesting for people who are doing a lot in like the acting industries and comedy industry specifically is, from the outside it looks very competitive and very grueling, and I'm sure these experiences have probably been happening for you since you joined drama school, and from then onwards, even you mentioning that you were working at Selfridges and you were like, am I even an actor anymore? Which I would class as a very challenging moment, because if you've defined yourself as something and you're not acting towards it, that can have a really negative impact. So with those kind of challenging moments and others that you're typically likely to face in that industry, how have you, one, managed them, and then two, like stopped yourself from quitting and kept focused? What did you do, or what have you done to
I think I mean, I think you're obviously the people around you, I think, helps, and having like a good support network, because majority of actors are pretty much the same as you. Like a lot of the people that I worked with at Selfridges were actors. Like we were all in the same boat, just there trying to get, but then it was quite a depressing environment, I guess, because we were all there like dying to perform, dying to be doing something a bit more creative, and we're all just standing at a counter spraying people with perfume. Like, you know, it could be a TV series, literally. Like we're all just standing there, but in our heads we're like, oh gosh, one day we'll be on TV doing some big show. But I think what helped was, it was nice to know that I wasn't alone. It wasn't just me in this position. There's so many others, and I think that's what helps me the most, having a good support network. Like my mum and dad as well, they're so supportive of me and like my acting and comedy and they still are even to this day. So I think it helps having that, you know, either with friends, family, just having that support of people, because then, you know, okay, like people do believe in me, people do, you know, want me to do well. And it you know, gives you that sort of, I guess, hope that things are going to get better, and yeah, parts are going to come up, hopefully.
Yeah, most definitely. I actually feel like the your inner circle or close circle or whatever you want to call it is important in perpetuity, even if you do reach a certain height or status or level of fame, because I think regardless of what happens, like those are the people that have your back regardless of where everything goes. And I think it's all like, I feel like even before anything big pops off, it's important to know who those people are, because you never know what could happen in life, and like the highs and lows can be so drastic that having those people like adds a lot of stability and really important. So yeah, I definitely hear you.
Definitely. No, and also like I've made actually quite a nice support network through like Instagram as well, and just through through the lockdown, like I've made all these like Instagram friends, like people I've never met before, like I've never even met in real life, but they'll always like leave a nice comment on my work, or like share a sketch I've made, and it's just nice. It's nice knowing, okay, people are actually enjoying my stuff and appreciating it, and I think that's what, I guess, keeps you going a little bit, because you know, okay, people are actually enjoying my work. I am creating a nice little, I guess, fan base for my stuff, and I just want to, I don't know, keep going, keep growing it, and yeah, it's nice. It's nice to know.
Yeah, just those little bits.
Those little bits, I think, mean a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great.
Yeah.
The Instagram friend thing, yeah.
It is funny.
The pandemic
It is
has
funny.
done that.
Just made all these random Instagram friends.
So I want to quickly get onto your show,
Yes.
Whoring Twenties, which you finished last week, right? Was it last
Literally
week?
last week. Yeah.
Yeah, congrats.
Oh,
Like
thank
amazing
you.
that was it 3 shows you did, right?
We did 3 shows, yeah, 3. And it
Yeah.
was so fun. It was so much fun.
So for the people watching, and I guess as well myself, how would you describe the show? And then I'd also love to hear your inspiration for writing it, and what the experience has from what your experience has been taking it from the idea phase right up until the stage. Like, yeah, I'd just love to hear about it.
So it's a stand-up sketch show. So we do, I mean, most of it is sketch, and then we have 2 parts of stand-up where I'll do a set and Kat does a set, and then we finish on some like roast battle material. So we do like a cat versus cat thing at the end of the show, which is really fun. And the show is very like, it's very raucous, sexy, quite shocking at times. We had this idea like what was it, way back like beginning of 2020, we had the idea. So we literally we wanted to do a show together. We were like, oh, let's apply for like Camden Fringe, let's apply for Edinburgh Fringe. So we sat together like in a coffee shop, and we were like, right, we want to do a comedy show. It's going to be sketch, there'll be some stand up, but what's it going to be about? Like, what's the theme? And we wanted to like quite like a fun, like sort of sexy like title, like something like quite out there. And we had this idea of like post-prohibition and, you know, 1920s, and we were like, oh, you know, why don't we call it the Whoring Twenties? So, you know, instead of Roaring 20s, it will be the Whoring 20s. And we thought, okay, that's perfect because it's 2020. We're both in our 20s. We wanted like something to do with it being 2020. Like, I think because everyone beginning of that year, we were like, oh my God, and like everyone was like, it's going to be the year 2020. It's going to be like, it's going to like be the year where everyone just like, you know, and it literally just dipped and went to shit.
2020, it humbled a lot of people. It
really
humbled
did.
us all.
because I was one of those people. I was like that when it got to 2020. I was like, this is going to be my year. This is the year I'm going to be fucking big. Like, this is my year. And then it just dipped slowly. It just dipped, yeah. But that was kind of why we chose the title, because we wanted it kind of based on, the 20s, us being in our 20s. And then we thought the Whoring Twenties, that's going to be a fun title. And it's just a really fun, girly, silly show. We do a lot about dating profiles. So like Kat has made a dating profile on me and I've made one on her, and we kind of basically like roast each other on it and silly stuff we do. And then we do this this section called like How to Be a Hoe, where we teach people how to be a hoe.
What are the top 3 tips on how to be a hoe? Just out of curiosity.
So one of the tips. So the first tip was find your prey, which is where you find your prey is the first tip. But how to find your prey is that you need to have some hot Instagram photos. Like you need your hot dating profile photos.
Thirst traps. The
first trap is the first tip to getting your prey. So like we do this bit about different poses that girls should do, you know, like the one where girls are like looking at the floor, like that one, and they'll like hold their hair and be like, that's the first pose.
First stage.
And then the first pose, one of the other, like sticking your booty out, is like one of the poses girls do on Instagram. And then like once you've done that, you've entrapped him. He's now entrapped. But the next stage is that there are men you should avoid on dating apps. Like you can entrap some, but there's some you want to avoid. So we do this section of like male dating profiles you should avoid. So we have like Mr. Flashy, the guy who like stands by a Ferrari when he owns an electric scooter.
Yo, you are smoking some people today, you know.
We do that one, like, and it's quite funny because the dating profile is just me and Kat dressed as boys. So I play Mr. Flashy. I have like a Louis Vuitton bag like strapped to my chest, and I'm like posing by a car. And then we have like Mr. Reckless, the guy who's always like having a jar at Wetherspoons and like doing a line of coke. That's Mr. Reckless. and then our last one is Mr. Travel, the guy who like likes to pose with unconscious lions and
Jesus.
Like you know like the guy who posts a picture like he's standing on a cliff and he's like looking out into the distance, and I don't know, and likes to go to Thailand and Vietnam on a gap year. That guy.
I know the stereotype well.
You know the type. So we go through like all the stereotypes, and it's a really fun show. It's very like interactive and silly, and it's good fun.
That's great. Like, and I guess it feels a lot. It must feel amazing again because it's your own creation. So we
love it. Like everything, like from the music, the script, like the trailer, like we made a full-on like 1920s like black and white trailer, which was really fun, and like the post, like everything was done by us, and it's just nice like seeing it all come together. Like even the programs we have for the show, we did it like an actor's call sheet. So everyone got like a call sheet on the day saying like call time 8 p.m. and like, you know, we like probably like stylized it, and it was just really nice, like fun to do. So, was it difficult to get it on stage? I don't know if I'm saying that right, but like was it difficult to I think because How to Be a Hoe, we actually had that as a sketch first. So we'd filmed this whole sketch about how to be a hoe, and then we thought, okay, that's really strong. Why don't we transfer that into like a stage version? So we already had like that section of the show like done, like down already, and then it was the rest just sort of fill out. And then we had the idea of like roasting each other's dating profiles, like, and then our stand-up obviously is our own kind of thing of what we wanted to speak about and what we wanted to do. So it kind of just, like figured itself out, really. I mean, it wasn't that hard to put together. And I think because we started this idea, beginning of 2020, like we were just dying to do it by this year. We were like, come on, let's just, even if it's shit, let's just do it. It was just getting to a point where we were like, it'd been postponed 4 times it had been postponed. And I was just like, I just want to do it now. And I'm glad we have. I'm glad we've done it. And it's been a good run, really good run.
Yeah, like I've seen some people's like responses and like comments on your profile and stuff, and people seem to really have taken to the show. So no, massive congrats.
We want to do like a Christmas version, maybe for Christmas. So we're speaking to a few venues at the moment, and it just depends if obviously someone makes us an offer or not. But it'd be really cool to do, like, we thought like the Whoring Twenties Xmas edition, and it's like a filthy Christmas show. like we wanted to do like a naughty letters to Santa and like things like that, and it'll be funny.
I'm sure. Actually, on that topic, I know it like for me and a lot of creators, sometimes it can take a lot of courage to, you know, talk about certain topics that some people can shy away from. So like for me, for example, during the pandemic, I don't exactly know why, but I started making music. I started rapping, I started making lyrics.
I love that.
And I started just making music, and I found myself loving it. And when I loved it the most was when I started talking about things that I'd not really spoken too much about in my personal life. So things like police brutality and how it's affected like my family, and, you know, people in my family unfortunately passing as a result of it, or like relationship issues with particular women from my life in the past. And, you know, even though it was very difficult to like press upload on those things, there was also some kind of cathartic release. And I really, I guess I didn't care too much about like the judgment of it, because it was a cathartic release for me. And, you know, with some of your content and some of the pieces you put out, there's obviously a lot of like sexual themes and, you know, broaching that topic of sex and like things that I think a lot of people can get a bit awkward about sometimes. Which is you know, it's a bit weird because everybody who exists now has come from our parents having sex. So it's weird, right? So my question to you is, how do you navigate the judgment or the judgment or potential backlash, especially as a woman? Because I think that definitely adds another dimension to that potential. Like, how do you navigate that with your material? Because from my perception, you know, if you really like, that's your shit.
But
definitely. Obviously that's just from the outside. How is it actually for you?
I mean, like, one of the reasons why I got more into speaking about dating and sex is just because I find it funny, and I think as a comedian you should talk about things that you find funny, whether that be politics, the environment, I don't know, but that was what I found funny, and I thought, well, I find this funny, so I'm gonna put it out there, and if people don't find it funny, then fine, that's their humor. But a lot of people have found it funny, and I think I just kind of kept going with it, really. I think as a woman, like, speaking about sex and things like that, particularly in comedy, like, you do get a lot of judgment and a bit of a stigma. And also I do, like, you know, like when I do my stand-up, I love to dress up, I love to, I don't know, wear a dress and heels and things like that. Like, I love doing all that kind of thing. And I think sometimes as a woman doing it, you get a lot of stupid questions like, oh, well, what, are you a comedian? Are you are you just like one of those Instagram influencer girls? Like, what one are you? Like, you can't be both. And I'm a bit like, but what? Why can't I be both? Like, why can't I, you know, want to look hot and dress up, but why can't I do comedy and be funny as well? Like, why can't the two go together? And I think you do still get like the narrow-minded people, but I'm having fun, I'm enjoying myself, and majority of other people are enjoying my stuff. I don't get too much backlash, but I get the odd comment, like, you know, silly comment, or just stupid things like, oh, women aren't funny. And it's like, shut up.
Oh my God.
You know, like, there's just, and it's just so like, it's so backwards. It's such an old-fashioned way to think. And, you know, even when I got into comedy, a lot of people said to me, oh, you're quite attractive, like, oh, but you're being funny, like they didn't get it. And I was just a bit like, but why can't, you know? And also, I don't even think I'm all that. I'm quite modest with myself. I don't think I'm like some bloody supermodel. But then I thought about it, right? What if like a Victoria's Secret model, someone who was really, really hot, wanted to be a comedian? Would there be a problem with that? Would people be like, oh no, she can't do that, she's not allowed? You know, like it's silly. Like, it's like, why can't you, you know, go into a different lane? It's like there's so much thing of like staying in your lane. Like, if this is what you do, this is what you need to stay at. And it's like, but why can't we cross? Why can't we do different things? And I think it's just, it's silly. It's very silly.
Yeah, it's a deep. I mean, even though we're talking about the topic of like women talking about sex and dating, but I think just generally it's a deep like human flaw of us boxing ourselves in, you know, like someone attractive can't be funny.
Like, you can't. No, it's not,
that's so allowed. Mad to me. That's so mad to. Yeah.
You're not allowed.
Maybe you could ask, why would they want to be funny when they're already attractive? But even that's kind of reductive, because, you know, person can choose what they want to do. But it's
silly. I mean, even like me and Kat, when we do stuff together, we get it on some of our stuff. Like, that's why it was so nice and freeing doing Lads, because we both look so ugly. Well, no, we didn't look ugly, but we looked like, we looked so silly and just boys, and it was just kind of nice, because it was like, okay, then fine, you think we're only doing well because we're attractive. Well, fine, we're going to take that away from the situation. We're going to take away anything to do with our femininity and be lads and see if it's funny. And it was funny. So that's the thing. Like, you know, it's just play them at their own game, I guess.
Strip it all away, and the funny is still there.
It's still there, yeah. So it's like, well, what's wrong with it? Yeah.
Yeah.
You can be funny and wear fake tan if you want to do that. There's nothing wrong with it.
I mean, Donald Trump was doing it for 4 years, so boy.
Oh, that's what I mean. Exactly. And he had some good one-liners, to be fair. He did have some quite funny one-liners.
You know what? I might sound mad for saying this, but him being president was actually kind of funny. Like, I actually got entertainment value from it, even though he was a mad guy and he was a bit no, he was a prick, but he was funny. He was actually providing jokes. I can't lie. It was literally, I mean, it was his whole reign as president was like a sitcom, genuinely like a sitcom.
It was,
But moving on from that orange fella. So I guess kind of in the same vein, obviously with putting yourself out there and being part of shows that are generally quite popular, how do you deal with criticism from punters or media outlets, if it's come, either when it's negative or positive? How do you tend to take it on board yourself and deal with it?
I think, well, I mean, I just know, like, not everyone's going to like you at the end of the day. Like, you just got to know that, like, whatever you're doing, whether you're speaking about sex, whether you're speaking about politics. I don't know. And like, not everyone is going to like your humor and think you're funny. Like, I know I'm not the funniest person in the world. I'm not trying to be anyway. But I just know that some people aren't gonna, liken to you. And it's just, I guess trying to just take it on the chin and not get too hurt by it. But also, I'm so used to rejection now as well, like from acting. I'm so used to people saying no, you know. Well, I mean, they don't say you're shit, but I mean, they say like, you know, they're not interested or whatever. So I think I'm used to it from that. So I think acting has actually helped me deal with the whole negative criticism side, because I'm getting it all the time anyway from acting and from a while ago as well. So yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I've heard it said before that like being rejected a lot from a young age and like for an extended period of time can really strengthen you, because then you just lose the fear of trying to get what you're trying to, like doing what you want to do in the world, because you've felt the burn of being said no to once, twice, and then like it just wears off over time, and you just crack on. Anyway,
it is quite funny because myself and Kat as well, we've had quite a lot of rejection emails between the, like as a duo as well, like not just separately. And it's been quite funny because I'm kind of like the admin person out of the two of us. I'm the one who deals with all the emails and behind the scenes stuff. So I'll just like screenshot her on WhatsApp, like any rejection emails we're getting, because she never checks the inbox. I'm like the person that's and it's just quite funny because I'll like WhatsApp it to her and she'll be like, oh, I'm so annoyed, I'm going to send them an email. And then I'll be like, no, Kat, no, we need to act professionally about this. So it's quite funny. We sometimes just type out these really aggressive emails but never actually send them, and we just keep them in like our drafts. But we're like, we can't send it though. It's quite funny when you've got someone else being rejected with you. It can be quite entertaining sometimes.
I guess it takes the weight off it as well. Like it makes it easier not to internalize, because it's like, I'm not taking this one on my own.
Well, no, and it's quite nice having that other person, because then if we are getting a rejection, we just voice note each other on WhatsApp, and we'll just talk about it for like hours on end until we're like, we're done with that now. We're done. It's nice having that other person to just kind of get your frustration out, because sometimes when you're being rejected just on your own as an individual, sometimes you don't have anyone else to speak to it about. You just have to deal with it yourself, and you just want to be like, you just want to speak about it with someone just to get it out of your system. So I guess it's quite nice having someone else who's in the same boat. So
someone else to bounce that rejection off. Like
you take the shit.
So I saw recently that you were nominated for the Funny Woman Award too, actually. So congrats on that. You're smashing it, you know. Like, I want to give you a round of applause. You're doing big things.
Thanks, thank you.
So like congrats on being nominated on that. My question is more related to like the art and skill of being funny. Obviously you have people that are like, maybe in a friendship group, someone's defined as like the funny person in that friendship group. But what would you say is the difference between being funny just in general everyday life and actually being professionally funny, stand-up comedian level? Like, how would you describe that nuance to people?
I think a lot of comedians, actually, a lot who I've come across and a lot I know, like a lot are actually quite quiet people, like they're not like that loud and out there in normal life. Like they've got a lot of I don't know, inner demons and things going on, and like you know, just can be quite sad, depressed people a lot of the time. And I think sometimes when you're that way, that kind of makes you funny as a performer, as such. Like, I think when you get your friendship groups and you get the funny person in the group, yes, they'll be really funny, like with mates and everything. But like immediately when you say to them, "Oh, you should do stand up," they're like, "No, oh, I can never do that. I'd never want to do that." And it's because they're comfortable being funny in their own little comfort zone. Like when you're around friends, and that's their own little like comfort spot. You know, they're not exposing themselves to other people. That's their little thing. But when you're a stand-up, you have to be funny to people who've never met you before, you know, just random people who are, you know, sat in a pub. So I think I guess that's the difference. And I guess you have to have some sort of performance element about being a stand-up. Like you have to have some sort of thing about performing. I think that's why I sort of went into it, because obviously like from doing acting, I was like, okay, well, I have the performing thing and I'm confident with that. So maybe that can translate in some sort of way to stand up. So I think that's the difference. Like when you're with your friends, you're not performing. It's just a fun comfort thing for you, and it's giving you a confidence boost, seeing that all your other friends think you're funny, but you wouldn't actually want to go and do it as a profession. So yeah.
And what would you say then makes a good stand-up, like one that actually draws laughter from a crowd? Like what would you say that is, like that element of being a stand-up is?
Actually I saw this girl, she was at the Funny Women Awards performing for the stage award, and she did actually win, and she deserved it. She was amazing. And like it was just her, like she had this like amazing stage presence, and she was quite like shy and awkward. Like she wasn't like a, oh my god, everyone look at me kind of thing. She had this sort of quirky, like shy persona about her. But I think to be a good stand-up, I think like persona definitely, and stage presence, and just having that natural ability to like interact with the audience. And it just you feel comfortable with them. You're watching them and you're not thinking, oh my god, they're gonna bomb any minute, like it's gonna go shit. Like you're watching them and you just feel chilled. You're like, okay, they're just doing their thing, they're making me laugh. It's a comfortable experience. It just feels natural. And I think that's what probably makes a good stand-up, just the natural ability and the persona and all of those things.
Yeah, I'm thinking about stand-up comedians that I love, like God, what's his name again? Oh my God, his name's just escaped me. Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle is I love him.
God.
He's brilliant. So good. Love him.
Honestly, like I watch him and I'm just like, he's, you know, when you see someone who's just at a level of mastery in what they do.
Like you've mastered your craft so well.
Yeah, even if you're not very well versed in exactly what they're doing, just seeing it is like, I get that when I watch his when I watch some of his performances, because I'm just like, wow.
And it's just like energy as well. Like I watched, who was it? London Hughes. She did a Netflix special which was called To Catch Your Dick, and I was like, okay, this is up my street. This is sexy. Like this is something I maybe would want to do at some point in my life. I thought, okay, I'm going to watch it as like research and see what she's doing. And like, even though she wasn't, I wouldn't say she was like proper articulate in what she was saying. It was just the fact she had a really like strong energy, and everything was larger than life, and like, you know, she was making such a big deal out of very small situations. And I think that can be really funny as well. Like just like your energy, you don't have to be the most, I don't know, articulate, well-spoken person. Like you can still be a stand-up and not have that. Like it's just energy, and that kind of thing, I think, as well.
Hearing you describe it is making me think I might want to try it. Nah,
go for it. Why not? I'll come watch.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I can already hear my heart beating loud at the thought of stepping on the stage. I can hear. But no, those are some interesting elements actually, and I think when you think about some of the best performers, they definitely have that.
Well, like Kevin Hart as well. Kevin Hart, oh my God, his energy. Like, he's, you know, it's crazy, but I love it. I love it. He's great.
Yeah, and it's very different to, for example, like a Dave Chappelle or even like Chris Rock or something. But it's still like he has, that's his, like, I guess his unique flavor on the skill set. So we're coming towards the end of the podcast, which has been really enjoyable, by the way. Like, you've been a sick guest, Katerina.
Oh, thank you.
Yay. And I guess the last question I have, which I'm always just really curious about, because I quite like seeing people achieve like their big long-term goals if they have them, because it's sick for them and it's really inspiring as well, and makes, you know, a lot of people believe they can do the same thing. So I'm curious to know, what are you striving for in your career as an actor and a stand-up comedian as well? What would you like to see happen for you?
I think my big long-term goal, I think, was to get a Netflix series, a comedy Netflix series. I think that's the big goal for me. Either something I've created and done myself, or to be cast in a show. So that's kind of like the big goal. And then I think stand-up wise, I mean, I'd love to have my own special, like a stand-up special. I think that would be amazing. I basically wrote this show called Dickpression, which I sort of trialed it. I sort of trialed it online for Camden Fringe as like a small sort of like put together set, and it did well. Like, I mean, how it was filmed was really like cool and wacky, and I filmed it at like the Selfie Factory at the O2, which was like really fun. It was all these weird like rooms and pink and like all crazy, and I'd love to develop that a bit more into some sort of stand-up special, but just very like wacky and like Wes Anderson sort of vibes, very out there, but like artist, but like very artistic and stuff. So yeah, I think that would be a good goal for me.
Okay, well, everyone, watch out, Netflix 2027.
Okay.
Netflix 2027.
Okay, all right.
We're seeing the show, Put it in the calendar. I think Jim Carrey did this one time. He put like a check for $1 million for like a few years in advance, and then he actually was able to cash it, I think. Just do the same for the Netflix show, and it's done. It's done.
It's done. It's sorted.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
No, it's cool. I really feel like I think with certain people that I've talked to on the podcast, like with their visions and their goals, like you can feel the belief and like the drive they have towards going there, and I feel that from you. So
thank you.
I really hope it's something you're able to to manifest. And if you do, this was the first place it was cemented. So
exactly. So you have it archived.
Exclusive.
Yes.
Yeah. My last question for you, Katerina, is for anybody listening who is, I guess, struggling or considering whether to put themselves out there in the world in a lane that's different to the one that they're in now. Because, you know, this podcast is mainly for people in the creative space, or people who want to start putting their creative self out into the world. What one piece of advice would you give to that person who's not yet made the jump yet?
I mean, I think just go for it. That's my advice. Like, when it's hard to obviously like just go for something, but I think if you have enough passion, enough drive, and you can see yourself going into that, then make little steps. Maybe that's the advice I would give. Start small and then work your way up to that lane. Start with little changes. Like, if you want to get into stand-up, start looking at gigs that would maybe be good for you to do, and then start working on your material, and then eventually work your way up to actually booking in a night where you're going to be performing. Like, yeah, little steps to it, but definitely go for it. And yeah, I think it's great to do something different. Definitely.
There you go, people. If you're struggling, small steps, and just go for it. And just go for it. Katerina, it's been really sick having you on, and I'm sure for the people listening, they'd love to find out more about you, catch you at the Whoring Twenties Xmas edition, and other shows that I'm sure will be coming out over the months and years to come. So where can those people find you in the world, or on the internet, or wherever?
So I say the main place to find me is on my Instagram, which is @Miss Katerina R. Pretty much all my stuff is on there, like all my sketches, and then I promote all my shows on there too. So yeah, Instagram is probably the best place.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. It's been a pleasure having you on. To everyone listening, thanks again for joining. I really appreciate it. You're spending your valuable time on this earth listening to us chat. So thank you again. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will catch you in the next one. Bless.